Recording now. Okay, we're live for this week's Writing for Games go-to training session. We'll be talking about branching dialogue in Twine, and then, time permitting, doing a short Let's Play session with indie game Pony Island. We were just talking before I started recording about what branching dialogue looks like, and the most basic format. Remember that branching dialogue is a conversation, and that for the assignment, you're supposed to keep it focused on a single conversation between one character controlled by the player and one other character. So, as I think I talked about in week 1, if you want to see a guide to basic Twine use, you can just delete the text in any passage. But let's see, like this. Here's an example. Generally, a very clear, straightforward structure for branching dialogue is a sort of passage with what the non-player character says, and then to give the player options, thinks the same response. So we have a couple of options here. The player asks if there says what they're doing. Yeah, there's black card. Okay, so here we have a tiny little branching dialogue. Let's go ahead and play it to take a look at how it works. Got our Western setting. Oops, that's right. Common error in branching dialogue. With all the special marks you're making, it's easy to forget your punctuation. We go ahead and put the periods back into these. Old timer greets you. What are you doing around these parts? See, I'm minding my own business, that's all. He bids you good day. You see a man confirmed with a black hat and 2 6-guns. Tells you who he is and where he is. Say thank you, then you go to the end passage, ask for more. So everyone here around here is too scared to stand up to McBaddy, and he tells you about McBaddy's disgusting habit of chewing tobacco and spitting it everywhere. Here I have another error. I put these lines, all of them in quotes, and I hadn't previously put any of my lines of dialogue in quotes, but here I put a quote mark at the beginning and not at the end. What have I done previously? I did this. Could I put these in quotes? I could have. But it's pretty clear from the fact that there are links and that this is all I put down here, that there are lines of dialogue. So it wasn't strictly necessary. You just want to be avoid little errors like this and be consistent. You can also format your branching dialogue like a screenplay, more or less, and put, a screenplay or an old-fashioned stage play. And put tags in front of all the lines. If you need something like that. And maybe you decide to put in the quote marks or so. Make sure you always use quote marks. I'm using the vertical bar here to split my links. That's kind of Twine 1 style. You can also create an arrow with a dash and a greater than sign. That's an extra character, but it is also kind of a very clear formatting convention. This arrow to indicate where you're linking to only works in Twine 2. If you're using Twine 1.4.2, which you shouldn't be doing, but we've had a few technical difficulties, so if you can't seem to get Twine 2 working, you should contact tech support, and you should also you can go and complete your assignment in Twine 1, in which case you can submit a TWS file instead of an HTML file. Either way, compress it to a zip. Let's take another look at this. I find that this is less appealing. Also, I should have put a space right here. Quote marks, though, are pretty clear. And now this would be incorrect if we formatted this one this way. The formatting details are a small part of the picture, but important in terms of maximizing your grade. The structure is what matters. For assignment 3, you'll be creating a single conversation between 2 characters. And basically you want to start with whatever the non-player character says and give the player options afterwards. That's almost always the best way to organize it. It's also the most similar to the way that this looks if you write it aloud in code. If you have the characters go back and forth where the player delivers a single line and has no choice about it, there's no need to break that into separate passages. Making this into a link to a new passage with this in it is a waste. It presents a choice where there is none. Now, if you've got a logical reason in terms of the story that it's a whole other point, sometimes having a passage and single link out is the best way to do it. But you can, if you've just got a couple of lines that all flow together, please do put them in a single passage. Um, Obviously, I can't take questions when who isn't here, but Chris, Laura, do either of you have questions about branching dialogue or Twine based on what I've just said?
I have a
Um,
question. Oh, you go ahead,
Okay.
Christopher.
oh no, that's okay. Really quick is, I think I understand what you're doing. I'm just, if I have questions, I'm gonna probably send them to you. But
That's
I was
fine.
like but I was looking at how when you put the things in brackets, that just opens up another box and it links it.
Yeah. In Twine 2, it'll automatically create passages. Anytime you uh, put a new passage name inside of double square brackets, it'll automatically create the passage and link to it if it doesn't already exist. If the passage does exist, it'll link to it automatically, which is the same way that Twine 1 works. But in Twine 1, if I were to create this passage, I would then have to go and add a new passage called Scared, at which point this passage would then automatically link to it. It's one of those ways that Twine 2 is a little bit more user-friendly. Um, there are some things, though, you can do in Twine 1.4.2 that you can't yet do in Twine 2. They're continuing to add in more features to Twine 2.
So if you have more than one, let's say, dialogue between two people bouncing back and forth from other characters,
Mm-hmm.
it's the same box. Just as you put the dialogue in quotes, and then you put the brackets, and then you put them in quotes again under the bracket, which goes to the next one. Is that how you're going to tell when you're talking back and forth?
Yeah, pretty much. Only the things that are options for the only time you really need text in brackets with a link to a new passage is when the player has a choice between two or more things to have their character say. Or again, if they've been talking for a bit and there's only one thing to choose, there's no choice, but there's kind of an end to a kind of a concept in the conversation. So, for example, if we had one passage, I use this one as a rhetorical example, that was all about the countryside, and then the only option was to ask the old timer about what the people are like, you'd still probably split that into two passages because that's a fair amount of writing and there's a logical difference. But the only time you actually need a new passage is when the player gets to choose from two or more options. Uh, Also, it's important to note that for assignment 3, you have to practice convergence as well as branching, meaning your story opens up and then comes back together again into no more than 3 final endings, 3 conclusions. And this structure here, which is the way that many simple passages, simple and short passage branching dialogue work, where you can kind of quit out at any time, is not always the best thing for a somewhat longer conversation. Um, it depends in part on the game. Uh, there's the balancing act in branching dialogue is usually between maintaining a natural flow to the conversation and allowing players who've played the game before or who just don't want to read the text to kind of get on with the part of the game they're interested in. There are a lot of games that are action games and role-playing games that have branching dialogue in them, where a significant fraction of the player base basically just says TLDR, which is, uh, I don't know if it's chat lingo anymore, but it's just a shorthand for too long didn't read, meaning that they don't really care about what the story is or what characters' motivations are. They just want to get back to the action. Uh, if we someday have two TLDR movies, they would basically be edited down to just the action sequences and chase scenes and races. And that's all you'd have. I don't know if we're going to get quite to that point. But yeah, no
So if
more.
when we
Go ahead.
write one of the text boxes and you want to have choice, do we take door number 1 or door number 2?
Right.
That's what you my options, and then each one of these has a different option, and
Yeah.
as long as it all Okay.
Yeah, this could be. Now, the problem with a link like this if these are links, these links don't tell us anything about what we're choosing. If if you have links in branching narrative uh, that don't give the player information about what the options are, then you have to make sure you've already given them information, say up here, about what their options are. Like, you have to choose between two doors, one of which is, I don't know. One is a standard kind of business shop door and appears to be well used. The other of which looks to be perhaps an entrance to the back room of the shop. And there's
Like door number 1 will like lead you out of the building. Door number 2 will lead you to the next level.
right. The only time you'd want, because this right here, right now, as it is, given that this text is actually completely irrelevant to choosing between doors, this is a blind choice. If you give players choices that are, you almost never want to give players blind choices, because if blind choice, you might as well just decide what happens and tell the player that. And if it's random, you could, metaphorically speaking, roll a die and give the player whatever result. But yeah, as soon as you give the player information, possibly insufficient information, but to know, they can make an informed decision based on what you've given them. Like a player who's lost underground in a series of caves, and the cave they're in branches and goes two different ways, and one of them slopes slightly upward, which might lead to the surface, but there's a slight breeze in the other, meaning there's air circulating, which suggests there's a way out that way. Suddenly, it's not going to go left or going to go right. You can actually say, do you want to take the left passage or the right passage? But the left passage slopes up, and the right passage has a slight breeze. Now it's a meaningful decision.
All right, because you said this is all about dialogue,
Yeah,
not
okay.
about.
Yes. This is in terms of branching narrative. This week's assignment is branching dialogue, so you shouldn't have things like take the left passage or the right passage, open door 1 or open door 2. In other contexts where you're working with this kind of tool and technique, you might do that. But yes, for this week's assignment, you should not be having the player choose between actions.
So in other words, it's just the characters is talking back and forth, not like,
Yeah.
should I use stone to kill Lord Voldemort? No, it's just how you're like regular talking dialogue.
Yes. The primary use of branching dialogue in video games is not to advance the plot, but to give the player information, sometimes to give them a chance to choose a mission, and to help establish the world and characters. So, you're in some instances, your options in branching dialogue might include, I've heard enough from you, punch him, which would then sort of fight sequence. But much more often, it's a game where you're talking to someone who's being a belligerent drunk at a bar, and you've gotten hired on to work as a bouncer. More often, you'll engage in a conversation with them, which gives you a chance to figure out how you can get them out of the bar without having to fight them. And then after you finish the conversation, if the branching dialogue is over, maybe then you go and get, I don't know, their coat back from the person who stole it out of the hatch to the coat check because they thought it was their coat, whatever it is. So yeah, for assignment 3, for this week's assignment, I'm just looking for a simple, straightforward, relatively normal conversation. And it can be, as simple as like someone talking to a clerk at a convenience store about, what they want to buy, or it could be, literally two people talking about the weather, or, for example, it could be uh, that the player character is an apprentice wizard, and they're talking to the master wizard about the great scourge that is sweeping over the land. The options in that case are not likely to be, immediately how do we deal with the great scourge. It's going to be more a matter of what is this thing, where did it come from, why are all these, I don't know, angry shadows leaping off of walls and attacking people. So you can get a little bit of that kind of like, how do we stop Voldemort in there? But it's informative as opposed to more primary decision making. At least.
All right, but since it's going to be, like you said, within the description, it should be based upon what we did in the first week, which is fine because I'm going to do that. So in other words, my conversation is about everybody in this one room talking about what they're doing.
Right.
And it's not like how they're going to get out of the building. It's just basically, hi, how you doing, everything's going on. And then the last passage is really, okay, what do we do to get out of the building? Is that what?
That's basically correct. Yeah. Talk it through and then give a choice of action at the very end. Yes. As opposed to, using dialogue to decide what series of actions to take. Like, it shouldn't be throw the water on the fire, and then the next passage is he throws the water on the fire. Now what do you think he should do? He should go out the window, and he goes out the window. That's not what I'm looking for. If it's, characters strategizing about how to deal with a situation, that's good. Also for clarity's sake, anyone who kind of doesn't like or doesn't see how to continue with the kind of game idea they'd worked with previously is completely free to choose something new and run with that instead. I'm not particularly concerned over keeping all of the work on the same concept, though many people find that's an easy way to go through the assignments, is to kind of have a game concept and keep working with it throughout the entire class.
No, because I had that original when I was doing it. I mean, like I said, I had like 107 passes before I realized you're only supposed to need 30.
Yeah.
I had 6 different levels, and then of course I couldn't get any answers, so then I cut it all down to what I needed it. But this will help because this is what would be the beginning of, which would start that whole game, why they're going to do what they have to do to get out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, Laura, I think you had a question a while back, and we've just kind of been running. So.
Oh, it's okay. I'm fine. I actually have two. One is kind of a system thing. When you're doing the branches where you did it one on top of the other, one below, I had problems with that in the first assignment because my Twine shoved it all in one line, one sentence.
Really?
Is there any special tip on how to prevent that?
So basically, like this got run together?
Yeah.
So it's someone displaying on screen like this? Like that?
Yeah, it ended up looking like that.
Wow, that
I tried really hard to have it one on top of the other, and then I was like, okay, forget it.
I'm trying to figure out why that would happen. If that happens...
I think in the end I fixed it, but yeah, I'm kind of paranoid that it'll happen again.
If it does, don't sweat it too much. I'm not going to, take points off for that, especially since it's a known issue. I'm not sure why it's happening, and I wonder if it might be your computer's browser. It's possible that it shows... It shouldn't be, though. It should display more or less the same on almost any internet browser because it's standard HTML.
Okay, it might just be that I needed to do updates on my browser then.
Maybe. I don't know. But the short version is, if it happens again, don't panic over it because I won't take points off for it.
Okay. And the other question I had is, how do you want us to format, like line up our branches and message boxes? Is there a specific way you want to see it?
Um, I mainly want to see clarity and consistency. In terms of, you mean like on the screen like this?
Yeah.
Like in the blue? Okay. Um, there isn't a specific thing I'm looking for. However, something that affects my ability to follow your twine, and that can affect your grade, is if I can actually see the way it goes. If you arrange your passages loosely into something that looks like a flow chart or a diamond shape, with a little room between, it's okay if I have to zoom out to see the whole structure, that's not a problem. The one thing I would ask you not to do is just jam all your passages uh, close together. If you, there we go.
Okay, so the more it looks like a flow chart, the better, and you don't want to see stuff where it's like a
I don't
web
want.
chart going outward.
Well, what I don't want to see is like a 6 by 9 grid of squares all jammed real close to each other, so I can't even tell where the lines are going. Because I've gotten
Okay,
things
so
that
you
look,
want space.
yeah, a little bit of space. I've gotten things that look like this, except that it's a full screen of it, and then you'll see the arrows that are going, partially obscured all the way across. Anything, any visual layout that reflects kind of the way the story goes is definitely good. And in general, I only take points off if I need to be able to figure out the flow of the story and find it really difficult to. So, this is one of those things where before tools like Twine, people would often plan out branching dialogue using note cards on like a cork board or giant pieces of butcher paper, and would basically connect them the way you see in like brainstorming or flowcharting, and functionality was the goal. There aren't any established conventions for what something like this should look like. So, uh,
Okay, thank
yeah,
you.
you're welcome. It's a good question. It's a good question. Any other questions?
No, not for the moment. You can go on with your lesson.
Okay,
Not for me.
we've got a little bit of time left. Um, let's go ahead and take a quick look at Pony Island. Pony Island is a much acclaimed, oops, I don't want to close that, indie game. I need to minimize it. Uh, it's PC and Mac, and it's cheap. It's like $5, and I don't know if the sale's still on, but it was on sale on Steam for $3. Uh, it's a game that a lot of the game has to do with kind of the meta game, and it's got some interesting narrative layering to it. We'll see in about 10 minutes what we can get to in it. I often choose to not even play these games at all before playing them with you folks. This one I have played just a little bit. Uh, might have been better if I hadn't, then my reactions could be entirely unscripted and in the moment. But you'll see. I'm going to go ahead and take off my headphones here, basically so you'll be able to get some of the game audio. Turning that down, I don't want it to mute me. I'm actually going to be playing with the not recommended trackpad because for this session, after I got a bit of trouble for making noise last week, I'm in a private room with a glass table, and laser mice do not work on glass tables, so I have to use my trackpad. Well, that's cheerful and happy, and if that looks saccharine, that's intentional, because this game is not so saccharine, not so sweet. Already we got kind of a frame narrative here. We got old style cathode ray tube. And here's Pony Island, circa 1992 it says, though actually Frank, my game looks like this, could be much more like mid-80s. Oh, can't start the game. Gotta take a look at the options. Cheerful facade. Oh, fixed start menu. Okay. So we've got the menu falling apart, and what is that? Check, start, press, start to leave, enable start. It's going to work now. And so we have here again, these things look kind of like lines of code. Start here, V-switch, got a loop back to the top, which is keeping us from loading the game. Just drag that in there. Oh, that worked. You just had to fix it, didn't you? It was going to work. I tested it 1,000 times. Well, that's not creepy at all. It's almost time to play. Welcome to Pony Island. Oh, okay, I got a pony here, unicorn looks like. I'd follow the mouse cursor, click to jump. Oh, that's not much of a game. That's the end of the... Okay. Incredible, wow. Holy bleep. Next level. What if I hit one? Okay, that resets and started the level. That's one of those glitch things I saw earlier. Ticket dispense printer or something? Wait, there's one of these over here. What's this? Is that back? Okay. Oh, hey, look, a Pony Island ticket. Continue. Experience the rest of Pony Island. Insert your soul to continue. That's kind of stupid. Oh, another glitch. Collect sin, somewhat cash, broken step, paywall, null soul, check soul, validate soul, soul required. Got some other icons. Stop here, do not proceed, crash game. That sounds like a better prospect than giving a retro video game my soul. Goes there, over. Plan has stopped working, checking for the solution to the problem. Okay, I just closed the Twine window. This is running on some like super early Windows something. Okay, Twine Island won't reopen. Any Galaxy controls? Is that that's sitting down there? Nope. Where's that? I have been trapped in this game for what feels like an eternity. Endless playing, hell, endless testing. Okay, clearly we have departed from the nominal pretense of a cute pony jumping game and are now in something more like a horror game. Walkthrough. Code block for the orange right block. Swap the loop code block for the now free continue code block. Oh, that's what I did get here. This game has crashed. Close the two windows by clicking the X buttons. Click on the messenger shortcut. Messenger. There it is down there, barely visible. Hopeless soul. What was that? Hello? Hello? Can you see this now? Please respond. Hello? How are you? Just want to repeat that. Hello? Who are you? Myself. Hello, myself. Oh, that's myself. I'm a prisoner of this machine. I do not want you to panic, but it's possible you may share the same fate. I have a plan, but I do not have the means to execute it. You must help me, myself. Will you help me? Sure. What was that? What was what? Oh, got another message over here. Hello again from 1U @IF hashed #R. What? You must feel good about yourself. You hacked your way out of Pony Island. The positive feedback loop for completing mundane jumping tasks wasn't engaging enough for you. You're saying he was messaging you. So terrible that you had to escape. You just had to. It's an L U A C I F E Lucifer? What? Put a message on here. And my plan. There are 3 core files and this entire operating system depends on. Deleting a single one will lessen the power that he wields. Must delete all 3 to truly escape. Understand me? Who is he? Who are you talking to? No one. You are so arrogant. I'm making changes to Pony Island. We'll see what you think of it this time. I asked you not to talk to him. Hey, wait! Enough of that. Uh-oh. You are mine now. Say, yes, master. With that, I'm going to say, bite me. Bite. Oh. I just press letter K, Q. Thank you. Oh boy. I am not moving that cursor right now. We'll see if you're too good for my game this time. We will see. Welcome back. Let's say Satan in red letters. Yeah, this is definitely a horror game. And improve load times, indeed. You thought was too easy. What do you think now? This one. Ooh. Game over. My game is challenging but fair. Come back when your skills improve, or just surrender your soul. That's creepy. Enter the password in the middle. Enter back to leave this place. That's weird. I think you're clever. A, B, C, 1, 2, 3. Cool. Boss. Okay. And back. I can do something here. Okay. Next. Options. Okay, I built a new menu option here. Chat history. Who are you? I myself. I sure hi. Lucifer. Who is he? No one. Oh, that's just what I've typed into the chat. Storage. The kind soul. Just take one. Mental controls. Error reports. Password info. Bahamut. Well, let's try that. Correct. Oh, what the? A church? Asking a few questions. Was I? When did I die? Or who killed me? Am I dead? My name was Theodore. I had a mother and a daughter. That is all for now. We're back to leave. Up there, still there. That's not working. Ominous humming. Struggling hardware. The answer to your prayers. Let me turn ominous humming off. Hold prototype options. Wait, really useless options. Better options than this. Pony salvation options and church music. Tutor? What do you mean? I'm just gonna click on pony raisers, okay? Tutor, I won't let you cheat at my game. reduce size, so we have to. Oh, okay. So I only have one arrow. Let's see if I can from there. If I move the arrow, this is where not having a mouse is hurting me. I don't know if I can actually do this with the touch pad. Assuming this is going to be possible to do. Oh boy, this is still ridiculously hard. Unless I'm missing something. Some more glitches, do I? Yeah, I'm trying to use my mouse on my leg here. Kind of like to see what happens next. I don't know if I can. There's some other. Light. Aha! Start. Okay. It's over here. Increase size. And I think I triggered this by putting the cursor into the the light. See, there's music. Ah, look, the cursors are pointing at it. Okay, left switch, use this. Um, oh, there's an other arrow right there. Aha! Right mouse button. Okay. Oh, I missed. Oh, you know what? I don't care what I had to say. Oops. This is. No. I don't know if I can continue with my trackpad here, but this is interesting. Oh, 1 of 24 tickets found. Hold Shift or Option to launch them to access input map. I wonder if that's going to have some in-game effect. Okay. Went a little bit over there, but uh, I have to say, from the time I first heard about Pony Island, and it was hard to learn anything about Pony Island without learning that it's a game in the form of a retro video game that's cursed or possessed or something, where you have to hack the game to apparently save your soul. I was fascinated. Thank you for joining me for taking a look at this rather out there indie game. Christopher, Laura, either of you have any thoughts or questions before we wrap up?
No, nothing right now. I know I'll probably have some more questions about next week because I have to get it all done early. But I'll
Right.
text you on that.
Okay.
This one.
I'm doing good, no questions.
Okay. Well, if you are watching the archive of this session, please remember that you can email or FSO message me anytime with questions or for more information. And we will be back live again next week for our final live session of the class. Hope you're all doing well, including those of you who are watching this later. I'm going to stop recording now. Have a good day.